Hi guys, I'm Seattle Witch. I am a Diablo 3 content creator and a Blizzard Diablo partner. Myself and a handful of other Diablo partners, content creators, and members of the media were invited to partake in a special Diablo 4 preview. We had access to for 1 week to 3 builds, the Barbarian, Sorceress, and Rogue. These are my first impressions of the game. I've been playing Diablo games since Diablo 1. I played Diablo 2 extensively with my kids when they were little, and now I play and produce content for Diablo 3 on Twitch. The Diablo series is very special for me, and I've been anxiously awaiting the release of Diablo 4 since it was announced at BlizzCon in 2019. In this iteration of the beta, we were able to preview one area of the massive world of Sanctuary, Fractured Peaks. We were able to level our characters to level 25 and experience the beginning of the storyline, as well as run through some classic Diablo dungeons and battled it out with a truly terrifying world boss. As is expected in a Diablo release, the cinematics and the music are S tier. It's a dark and moody game. The graphics and the artwork are gorgeous and rich. The different regions are vast and interesting. And if you love lore, I think you're going to be really happy with what this new Diablo delivers. If you come into Diablo 4 expecting Diablo 3 2.0, you're going to be surprised. It plays much closer to Diablo 1 and 2 with the darker themes. It also plays more like earlier iterations of the game, and that gear upgrades come much slower. On one of my characters, I made it all the way to level 25, which is halfway to the endgame level of 50 with no legendary items. In this game, you truly get excited when you get an upgrade that you've been hunting for. The main theme in Diablo 4 is hatred, a return to darkness. It takes place decades after Diablo 3. The landscape is grim and the people's spirit is broken. The newest iteration of the Diablo franchise focuses on the characters and their struggles. There is a main story quest, but there is an emphasis on play how you want. It's not linear, and the storyline branches across multiple quest lines. Diablo 4 is at its heart still a dungeon crawler. There are plenty of dungeons to explore and defeat. You can also liberate strongholds and create new safe havens and towns and permanently change the landscape. Diablo 4, more than Diablo 3, caters to solo players. It's a dangerous and lonely place at times. Some of the most unique monsters and mobs are off the beaten path in the open world. In the open world, you can be fighting a particularly difficult boss, have another player come along and help you defeat them. You can then part ways or continue fighting together for a time. You can, however, still form parties and play with your friends. Loot is not shared, as in Diablo 2. You each have your own loot to pick up, like in Diablo 3. You can drop items for others in your party. Playstyle is smooth, controls are quick, it's easy to dodge and dash. The responsiveness and the control of your character is a noticeable difference over prior Diablo games. So let's talk about character customization. It'll be 2023 when this game launches, and players expect to be able to customize their characters, and Diablo 4 delivers. You can customize their skin tone with 27 different shades. You can also customize their face shape, eye color, hairstyle and color, makeup, jewelry, accessories, and their tattoos or markings. There's also a wardrobe near your stash where you can transmog armor and items. This is also where you can spend real money on special skins and transmogs, as well as fancier mounts and armor for your mounts. I'd like to emphasize at this time, Diablo 4 is not pay to win. Blizzard has promised you cannot buy power in this game, and that is true. The only way you can spend money is on cosmetics. The crafting system in Diablo 4 is similar to Diablo 3, and that you have a town with vendors that you need to visit. There's the jeweler, where we can craft gems, add and remove sockets, and upgrade jewelry. Then there's the Mystic, where we can imprint aspects, which are legendary powers we receive in the Codex of Power for doing various quests and dungeons and can be imprinted onto items. The Mystic can also extract aspects from legendary items and add them to other items. He can also enchant a rare or legendary item by replacing an unwanted affix with a new one, similar to the Mystic in Diablo 3. There is not a cube in Diablo 4. The Mystic is essentially the one that handles your affixes and your legendary powers. Next is the Alchemist. In D4, we don't have one potion where you can engage in battle to gain life and which has a cooldown. Instead, you carry a number of potions which increase in number and size based on your experience level, and also some gear can give you an extra potion. Unlike D2, you don't have to carry these in your inventory, which is amazing. You can also craft elixirs, which can give you different resistances and an increase to experience. These last for 30 minutes and can carry you through the harder boss fights. You can also craft some of the many materials that the game has, including herbs, minerals, and magical items, similar to how you can make more reusable parts out of veiled crystals in Diablo 3. The gambler in Diablo 4 is called the Purveyor of Curiosities. You can gamble obols instead of blood shards, and she's as difficult to work with as Kadala. And of course, there is the blacksmith, where you can salvage, repair, or upgrade armor and weapons. Most of the towns are quite large, with the vendors spread around the town. For those of us who are used to town is lava in ultra-fast town time, this is something to get used to. And by the way, when you are in town, you can pet the dog, which there's a trick to that, and I'm not going to spoil that for you. So next, let's talk about the skill tree in Diablo 4. The skill tree can look a little intimidating at first glance, but it's pretty simple once you get into it. I'll go over how the basic skill tree stands now in the preview, with the caveat that things might change before the game ships. You start with your first skill, which is called Basic for the 3 classes that we tested, and you acquire past just being able to bash things with your entry weapon. For Sorceress, it's basically pick your element, fire, cold, or lightning. For Rogue, you decide if you want to go melee or ranged. For Barb, the choices include Frenzy and Bash. Your second skill is your core skill, which includes Hammer of the Ancients, Rend or Whirlwind for Barb, Frozen Orb and Fireball for Sorceress, and Rapid Fire for Rogues, as well as Barrage or Flurry. Your third skill is called Agility for Rogue and includes Dash and Caltrops. For Barb, this skill is called Defensive and includes Stomp and Shout. For Sorceress, it's called Defensive and includes Frost Nova, Ice Armor, and Teleport. Skill number 4 for Rogue is Subterfuge and includes Concealment, which acts very similar to Shadow Power for a Diablo 3 Demon Hunter. This skill slot for Barb is called Brawling and includes Leap and Charge. Sorceress has Conjuration, which includes summoning Ice Blades or a Hydra to attack your enemies with you. Skills 5 for Sorceress is called Mastery and includes Meteor or Blizzard. For Barb, it's Weapon Mastery and includes a skill which is very close to Diablo 3's Ancient Spear. In this slot, Rogue has an Imbuement slot where you can assign your weapons with an element. The next skill for all classes is the Ultimate skill. Very powerful attacks which start with long cooldowns in which you can only choose one. Sorcerer has one for each element with the starting cooldowns from 45 to 70 seconds. The ultimate powers for the Barb include Wrath of the Berserker and Call of the Ancients. For Rogue, they include Shadow Clones or Rain of Arrows. After that are passives, of which you can also only choose one. The Rogue passive includes skills which can give you cooldown reduction, momentum, crit hit chance, or damage boosts. Sorceress passives can give you increased damage, critical hit damage, or resource cost reduction. All the Barb's passives give you extra damage. There are also modules throughout the tree where you can add points which help with damage, cooldown, and resource cost reduction. You also have a chance to find items which will give you skills and powers which you do not need to spend skill points on. You can also refund points and respec parts or all of your skill tree for in-game gold. So no need to stress making a wrong decision. You can change your mind later. There are also Paragon boards beyond the skill tree, which were not part of this preview. There are 5 difficulty levels in Diablo 4 to unlock at the World Tier Shrine in the capital city of Kiovashad. You can start on the second level as I did, but you have to complete capstone dungeons in order to progress to the last 3 levels. The first level is Adventurer, which is the easiest mode in the game. If you're an experienced Diablo or RPG player, I suggest skipping this level and starting on Veteran, where you get better drops and an increased experience in gold. The next level is Nightmare, with a recommended level of 50. It has the chance to spawn champion monsters, and sacred items can now drop. You can also find Nightmare Sigils, which in turn unseal a Nightmare Dungeon, which is part of the in-game experience, which we did not have access to in this preview. You are also granted a 100% experience bonus, and non-physical resistances are reduced to 20%. The next tier is Hell, with a recommended player level of 60. In this tier, sacred items drop more frequently. You can find rare Nightmare Sigils, and you gain 150% XP bonus. Non-physical resistances are reduced by 30%. The highest tier is Torment, which has the strongest, most fierce demons in all of Sanctuary. It is recommended not to attempt to open this tier until you are level 70. Ancestral items now have a chance of dropping. New unique items can be found, and players gain a 250% XP bonus, and a non-physical resistance are reduced by 40%. So I wanted to read you some of my notes from that I was taking on quality of life features, just little things in the game, just make it a little bit easier to make your way through Sanctuary. Both your inventory and your stash have a sort button, which quickly sorts your gears by type. So there's no more hunting to try to find that lost ring. You don't have to identify legendaries. I hope the Diablo 3 developers are listening. You can see what they are and read their properties immediately. There are many more items are auto pickup than in Diablo 2 or 3. When you're comparing a new item to one that you have equipped, it not only shows them side by side so you can compare stats, but it also lists clearly what you will gain and what you will lose, which makes it early game easier when you're quickly upgrading the items that you find. There's a skill called Evade, which is low cooldown, and all the characters have it. It's a quick dodge that can help get you out of tricky situations when your other skills are on cooldown. Some other notes about the game. Diablo 4 will be supported on PC and console from launch. It's also cross-platform, so you can play the game on your PC, then pick it up from where you left off on your console. You can team up with your friends from other regions of the world. No more not being able to play with your EU friends if you're in NA. At this time, there is no way to compete in Diablo 4. The devs indicated that this is something on their radar, but it's not available at this time. Diablo 4 will have 4 3-month seasons a year with new content, ways to experience Sanctuary. They will also have regular expansions. Diablo 4 does have PvP, but it's opt-in. If you aren't into PvP, you never have to go into those areas. You don't need to worry about being hunted down and losing an ear if that's not your thing. I'm super excited to be able to play the full game when it's released next year. Diablo 4 is a completely different game and has evolved so much while still staying true to the earlier versions of the game. I hope to meet you in Sanctuary, where we can slay demons together and liberate the people from darkness. And if you're excited about Diablo 4, make sure that you turn into the Game Awards on December 8th for an exciting Diablo 4 announcement. I wonder what that could be. And you know, after all of the time that I've spent playing this game, after all of the research that I've done and others have done, there's one thing that we're still not sure about. one thing that we're still not sure about, and that is there a cow level? Stay tuned to find out.